Right. While K-pop dance is praised for its powerful synchronized moves and is fun to cover on social media, copyright issues can give headaches to those behind the creation of K-pop dance or choreographies. We now want to delve deeper into this matter with an expert. We are connected to Dr. Oh Joo-yeon, professor of dance theory at the School of Music and Dance at San Diego State University. Hello, Dr. Oh.
Hi, Dr. O.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the program. Now, the global interest in K-pop is seeing no signs of waning, and it's not just the songs themselves, but K-pop dance plays a huge factor in the popularity of K-pop singers and groups. How much does dance contribute to the popularity of K-pop in your view?
So I think K-pop may not be K-pop without dance. It is highly visualized music. And as you know, K-pop idols have been trained in multiple dance styles from street, ballet, and even modern dance. K-pop also has an unprecedented scale of dance fandom globally. And they not just listening to music, but they are actively producing performance like cover dance. And I think K-pop is now as big as hip-hop and jazz, even in education, as exemplified by the first K-pop courses I teach here at San Diego State University.
Now, Dr. O, I'm a 90s kid, 80s kid, 90s kid, and I loved my boy bands back in the day. Backstreet Boys as well as NSYNC, and I used to dance along to them, and they had their own dance. But what makes K-pop dance K-pop dance? And are there any characteristics or distinctions that can define K-pop dance?
So as I explained in my book, K-pop dance, K-pop is first characterized by the polished idols, spectacular and synchronous group choreography. But first of all, K-pop is largely choreographed to be circulated on social media. So unlike traditional theater, K-pop lasts a couple minutes, or the iconic scene would last a couple seconds, and it is intentionally designed to look best for the two-dimensional camera screen. And as follows, the second characteristic is what I call gestural point choreography. It highlights the various facial expression and also delicate gesture of the upper body, from the use of hair to fingers. And it makes K-pop dance really easy to recognize and remember on the smallest stage, which is the smartphone screen. So the audience can memorize, copy, and even perform the choreography easily, which again eventually contribute to the popularity again. But I think above all, the true beauty of K-pop dance is that it changes all the time, and I have tremendous respect to the choreographers and their hard work. And it continuously evolve and also expand its boundary. So I think no characteristic could be the characteristic of K-pop dance, because it changes all the time.
Very interesting. And I especially like the part about the gestural point choreography, because that reminded me of our thing, the culture wave. That could also be seen as a gestural point choreography,
we need
right?
to copyright that quickly.
Oh, we should, Walter. Good point there. Now, Dr. Oh, despite the immense popularity and impact of K-pop, there is little awareness about copyright issues regarding choreographies, and also the recent choreography dispute between New Jeans and Jay-Z and Islet is a good example. And as we saw in our earlier report, only around 2% of choreographers have registered their choreographic work with the country's Copyright Commission. So why are we seeing such a low level of awareness, Dr. Oh?
Yeah, so awareness on choreography copyright has been low because, first of all, choreography is not a single movement, but a combination of multiple, such as music, lighting, prop, costume, movement, and even the dancer's unique style. So it is unclear to what extent a choreography holds a copyright if one of these elements changes. But what's even more complicated is that a single movement can actually hold a copyright if it is iconic. Let's say Michael Jackson's moonwalk or the crying hand gesture in Twice's TT, those movements stand out visually in a perfect harmony with the music and themes, and also symbolize the entire song or even the group's identity. And in that case, the movement should be protected no matter how short they are. And there's also a general barrier in registering copyright because dancing is really hard to fix because it's done by living human body. So if it's hard to fix, it's hard to register. Choreography can also change anytime, even on stage, perhaps a dancer's condition or the choreographer's last minute guidance. And plus, the choreography process is actually quite collaborative. Audience, choreographer, and dancers, they exchange their ideas and give feedback. And in that case, it's hard to say who gets the final credit. But I think nowadays, choreography is a financial capital. It makes money. So I think it's really time to change.
It is interesting that it looks like the time doesn't really matter when it comes to copyright issues regarding dance, because when we have songs, the time I think does matter, like the seconds of how much something seems to be plagiarized or not.
And what else is very interesting is that Dr. mentioned as well is the fact that each concert could be a little bit different. They could tweak the move just a little bit and it could change the move completely. It could be, you know, from concert to concert, it could be completely different, even though it's somewhat the same move, but just a little bit different, just to change just a little bit of the move, right? But choreography, Doctor, is choreography copyright is not just very well recognized overseas either, as I've probably heard, but there have been small steps towards its recognition in Korea. Now, can you tell us about this progress and how can we better assess choreography copyright? What kind of efforts need to be done and by whom to protect choreographers' original works?
Yeah, so there has been indeed progress, especially since Psy Gangnam Style and the increasing number of foreign choreographer industry. But I think in general, the social media and the internet play a role because on social media, we can actually fix choreography as a moving image, and it is really easy to archive, access, and even compare whether it's the same or not, and even trace the origin because we can find the date and time when the video is uploaded. So I think to better protect copyright, the most important thing is actually ethics. I know it's really hard to pin down, but choreographers, they do know what references they studied, even if they do not publicly recognize or publicly say. But the thing is that if they do not protect others' work, their work will not be protected either. And I think the K-pop agencies also need to think about a long-term plan because copying a successful model, because it's been proven, it could look like a shortcut, but eventually it can harm the industry because no one wants to see the same style performance over and over again. So I think if they have to copy at least a section or some ideas, I think at least in a personal level, they can actually give a recognition to the artist whom they are inspired by. They may say, at least in an interview, XYZ was a role model, and this person has been inspired by this choreography. I know it's really hard, but in that case, we can actually create a better atmosphere because copyright is not, of course, maybe AI can detect copyright like music or writing in the future, but choreography is made by human. So we need to respect those artists, and giving a recognition, I think, is the first step to solve those issues legally.
Yes, recognition, respect. It does look like we do need a lot of efforts from here on. But it has also been pointed out that if K-pop choreography copyrights are expanded too much, I don't know if we can say too much in this case, but it could stifle choreography creation and even hinder cover dancing. What do you think about this concern? Is it a reasonable concern?
I personally think no need to worry about that because there's a long way to go. And what's important is that we do not claim copyright for basic movement. Let's say toe work in ballet, aggressive gesture in hip hop, or let's say in K-pop, there's always like alluring hand gesture in girl group or hip thrust in boy group. These are basic vocabularies, so we don't apply copyright to those basic movements. However, as I mentioned earlier, if it's iconic and if it's built on new, fresh ideas, they need to be protected. Regarding cover dancing, I think it's almost like a karaoke. We do not prohibit karaoke because the songs are copyrighted. And K-pop cover dancing and dance challenge is also a leisure and social activity that makes the goal very clear. They make the origin very clear, and there's no intention to infringe copyright. So I think copyright only help the artist to have a fair competition. So I think there's no need to worry about that issue.
It looks like I can continue with my cover dances on my social media, Dr. Oh. And any final thoughts to share with the audience and the K-pop fans as well as the artists?
Yes, as a person teaching and researching K-pop in the United States, it's really clear that no matter what, no matter how big or small issues there in the industry, K-pop does represent the South Korean culture. Let's say, it is arguably the most successful music and dance of the nation. So I do hope that K-pop artists and agency work together like an Olympic team instead of fighting against each other, because what they do or what they present will be remembered and even witnessed by the global audience.
So it looks like for K-pop to grow even further around the world, it needs a lot of cooperation among the K-pop artists here in Korea. So thank you very much, Professor Oh or Dr. Oh, for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on Wednesday.
See you tomorrow, and I'll try not to dance too much tomorrow.
Oh, please do so. We'd love to see more of your dance moves.